And welcome back to the hot stage via the hot lap. We're talking the driver rankings after the WRC event in Portugal. Yes, some of them might be a bit controversial, so hold out here. So who finished? In terms of the WRC drivers, who finished last? Well, we're kind of like, I have to agree with Dirtfish. If you've looked at their article, it's this guy here, Gregor Monster. So, as we know, European gravel is very much the foundation in the WRC, particularly at this part. Portugal, a massive WRC event, and everyone seems to think, I guess we don't have, that Monster is the team leader at M Sport, but we kind of said at the beginning of the year there may well be question marks. And he's fighting for this position with a rookie teammate. He brought the car home, to be fair, without any major errors. He did have initially a good start, but once again, he was bested by his rookie teammate on pure pace alone. And an average event for Gregor Monster, something that cannot happen too often, because surely, yes, he does get funding for his drive, but at some point, if he doesn't improve, he's a nice guy as well, I can't think how M Sport are going to justify keeping him, unless he's going to give them even more money, which I really hope he doesn't. And that therein kind of lies the issue. So this guy, really disappointed, wasn't he? Disappointed. I mean, it's difficult. Chris, one of my good rally friends, has always said Cesc is really good at gravel, it's particularly good gravel, fast gravel. And I was kind of hoping that on paper at least he was looking like a good weekend. Now, last year we had those outings in Poland and Latvia, and they pretty much clinched him this opportunity. He was solid in Sweden. He ended up hitting the same bank as Neuville on the second pass of the Morteuga, I can't pronounce it, with his Puma. And that I think after that, in spite of how the rally began for him, that kind of dented his confidence. But he came back on Saturday. He was much better. And in terms of the stage times, he was keeping up with Josh McLaren across that day's action. But on Sunday, again, he was the slowest decent M Sport driver. Diogo Salvi doesn't really count, let's be honest. But yeah, for me, it's almost heartbroken. And equally heartbreaking is this guy here, who we're going from worst to best. What happened to Elfyn Evans? Yes, he is leading that championship. He is opening the road, sweeping away all that loose gravels. So the expectation there is maybe he's not particularly good. But he ended up being 40.7 seconds slower on the Friday than Rovanperä, who started behind him. Now, unless Evans has got some kind of magic where he absolutely sweeps the road massively compared to Rovanperä, I don't think so. Sunday, he kind of had an uptick in pace. He was unhappy, and it was quite clear he was unhappy with the setup. Luckily, there were no mitigating circumstances. We didn't get 2024 Evans, where we had the odd mistake, but he's got to start. I imagine he's surely now slowly being concerned about a certain Kalle Rovanperä hunting him down now for the title. He very much is being the hunted. But next up, we've got Takamoto Katsuta. So he was able to leverage his road position early on. Once again, Taka has the speed. It looked like he had the speed, and then until he didn't have the speed. And this once again is a feature of Katsuta. So Toyota's forward planning. He stopped his own team from scoring an additional point as well. Let's not forget about that, because he finished ahead of OJ, and he's not scoring any points, but OJ was. Whoops-a-daisy. But, and even it says in Dirtfish's article, which I've just mentioned, this kind of sums the whole thing up brilliantly. They say, we saw another flash of pace that suggests deep down Katsuta has the pace to run at the front. But, yeah, B, once again, it couldn't be sustained across the course of an entire rally. And once again, we haven't really seen an improvement. We've seen him nearly win a rally, but he's not been consistent enough. And I'm worried that the people at Toyota now are going to start, I thought they would last year, scratching their heads, thinking, is this guy, do we really want to give him another year? I hope they do, but equally, I hope he shows them why they want to give him another year. I want him to win a rally. I really do. So next up, we've got Neuville, who once again was kind of anonymous. 7 points on the final day. So it suggested that he finally extracted the pace that Artanak had in that Hyundai. The problem was, he just wasn't that fast all around. He wasn't, unlike Formo, he just wasn't there. He turned up to the rally. It's kind of like he turned up, he did his job, and then went home. I know, obviously, it's a lot harder than that, but yeah, it was just, I wasn't particularly happy. But next up, we've got Sammy Piari, who I think he had an unexceptional, was probably the word for Sammy Piari. And now after suffering, well, he stuffed his Yaris into an Armco barrier, damaging it so he couldn't super rally on the final day. Piari's one and only goal ended up being clear. Get that mileage and demonstrate what was a solid pace, let's say. He kind of did that while besting championship leader Evans on the Saturday. Now, Evans attempted to turn the wick, and Evans finally did by beating Sammy Piari. So well done to Sammy Piari, but still disappointing. Next up, we've got Formo. Now, maybe I'm being a bit unfair. I mean, Dirtfish has him ranked, a lot further back. And granted, I get it, it's a hard one to judge, but when you look at his pre-pace alone, his cameo at the front was strong. Yes, he did make that mistake, but that was kind of like a half-hearted spin, and it was one of those things that probably you couldn't orchestrate it to happen, but it did. But you cannot deny this guy's pace, who may well, had he finished, had the pace to win that rally. Unlike Kasuta, who's occasionally fast, Formo, I think, when he's got it, it's fast, and I do believe it's only a matter of time before this guy wins a rally. So I think this is the highest up we've had an M Sport driver, if I'm honest, and this M Sport driver is Josh McLaren. So he is the least experienced full-time driver in terms of the M Sport Ford. He finished the rally, yes, 5 minutes off the pace, but more than half of that was when he was high up the road order on the final 2 days. But what really impressed, I think, everyone is this was his first Portugal event, and he knew he'd probably had a good chance of being okay. And based on his form a year ago, I mean, this was his first WRC1 Portugal event, as is every rally, so I don't know why I said that. That's just stupid. But he refused to let himself get carried away. And he said to trust it, the last bit, I don't have it at the moment, he said, but you can see where the time is going. And that's what he said on the second pass, but you can't rush it yet. He has a wise head on his shoulders to the point where I did question M Sport's choice, but he's slowly proving that M Sport made the right choice. And by the end of the year, in terms of him and Gregor Monster, I've no doubt he is going to be the team leader. So next up, we have got Kalle Rovanperä, who, I mean, he had pace. It wasn't anywhere near Auger. He was the second, the second Toyota. But is he suffering with those tyres again? He struggled again with this Hancock tyre performance, and it continued through the weekend. He looked fast sometimes, but he didn't have any answer to Tanak's Hyundai on that final day to keep hold of second, because Tanak was absolutely awesome. And if that's going to be the case through these rallies, it's going to be really interesting between him and Evans, because he's going to be looking in the mirror, I think, on Monday. Well, it is Monday now. On Monday, thinking I probably should have scored far more points. Bear in mind how much Evans struggled, but we still have him on that, driver podium, so to speak. And in number 2 was Seb Ogier. Yes, he was handed the rally with Tanak's and whoops a daisy, but you can't deny, as we said in our rally review, you got to be in it to win it. And he was. So Ogier, he did seem to struggle. And he's admitted that it was his age was making him reassess his approach to risk-taking. That was the Rally Ada Canarias. Now in Portugal, the long slog and the lack of subsequent recovery time, that's something that Tanak also had an issue with. Maybe is becoming a bit more difficult for him. But he is a wily old fox, as Dirtfish also said, and this is his 4th season as a part-timer. He's never contested a full season during the Rally 1 era, yet here he is. And he finished second, beating all the full-timers. Apart from this guy here, in terms of our driver rating, but he did beat everyone he won. So Ott Tanak, I mean, what can you say? This is 2019 Ott Tanak. He was on another planet. If you give him, it was just amazing. He said on Sunday he decided to either return to service with second place or the steering wheel, which is classic Ott Tanak, as we said. He is the fastest, I think, pound for pound rally guy out there, but he makes mistakes. He's slightly inconsistent. But he ended up taking maximum points on Sunday and being the fastest driver on the final day by 12 seconds. What can I say? Number 1, awesome job. deservedly so. And until then, we'll speak to you soon. Subscribe if you want. Give us a like. Thanks for watching.